Welcome to another episode of Wheel of Horror, the podcast where two best friends spin a wheel every day leading up to Halloween. It chooses the horror movie and they discuss it. Today we're talking about 2014's Dracula Untold, which was directed by Gary Shore. I'm your co-host, Alec.
Oh, I'm Eric. Just kidding, it's Justin.
Justin filling in for Eric. What's up, brah?
What's up, dude? I actually requested this movie because I kind of like it. Kind of like it, and I know you don't like it, and that's okay.
Wait,
okay.
I just want to ask you, do you remember the first time you saw this movie?
I mean, it was in 2014.
Mm-hmm.
I was 24 years old. I mean, I don't remember specifically, but I remember being like, I could assume I was probably like, it was a pretty sweet movie.
Okay, so you don't remember. Eric said he saw it with you in theaters.
I will believe him if he says that.
Oh, he's like, I saw it with Justin. So I was like, I'm gonna see if Justin remembers.
I don't recall, but I believe it.
Okay. All right. Well, let me ask you, how did you watch it this time?
Oh, I had to pay $4 on Apple.
Oh, well, I'd like to give a shout out to DH1.
What is DH1?
I don't no idea. This like scary fucking app I downloaded on my Roku, and it was free on that.
Well, my initial thought was like, oh, it's been out for almost 10 years. It's probably like you could probably buy it for $5. I was like, I'll just buy it for $5. And on Apple, it was like, oh, $14.99, and I was like, fuck you,
dude. If you bought this movie,
who's paying $15 for this movie?
No, yeah, I was so lucky I got it for free. Granted, it was in standard definition, which was like, I think my eyes are going bad, and also the subtitles didn't work. So I was like, oh, this is fun. I can barely understand these people, can't see them.
So, these people.
You know, I miss the days where every single thing that took place anywhere in the world, people had British accents. You know? You know, like the 300, this, Rome. Remember that show, Rome?
I mean, it's almost like Hollywood has changed history in a way, because when you're growing up, when you're like 12 or 8 and you're watching a movie and it's like people in Persia and they're speaking like eloquent English, you're like, oh, I guess that's what they sound like.
Dude, everybody in this movie just had like a British accent, and you're just like, this takes place in like Transylvania, right? With like Turkish people?
Yeah. Well, the Turkish people had good accents. The Transylvanians should have sounded like they were like Russian.
Right. And nobody did. What are you talking about? The Turkish sounded good. Dominic Cooper?
Okay, not Dominic Cooper.
It's the most like British guy ever.
His like second in command henchman guy, where he's like, we need 1,000 boys.
Yeah. I just think it's like, I want to know, when did Hollywood be like, hey, we got to stop like browning their faces and just saying they're Persian? Like, Dominic Cooper is the most British-faced British guy I've ever seen in my life.
I know. They just like put makeup on Dominic Cooper, and they're like, and now you're brown.
Yeah. And now you're Turkish. So like, just so I'm clear here, were they brothers? Is Vlad and Cooper or whatever the fuck?
No.
Okay, they just said that.
So Cooper's dad was the Sultan of Turkey, and because he kind of brought in Vlad as like his son because he was the Transylvania prince's son. They were kind of like stepbrothers, quote unquote, but like you could tell Dominic Cooper didn't like him because his dad always brought Vlad into battle.
Right. Okay, I'm gonna say this. I actually don't hate this movie.
I'm gonna say this. Sarah Gadon.
Gorgeous. Loved her. She's the reason Canada is awesome. I don't know. Yeah, she's great. What about her?
No, that was it.
Oh, okay. Yeah, no, she's great. I mean, she's no Ana de Armas, but whatever.
That's true.
Like, I think the idea of this movie is really cool. It's like, oh, let's see like how Dracula became Dracula, and like that's a really cool idea. Like, you know, how did his wife get killed? Like all this stuff. But like, dude, it just like it felt like too like serious. Like it just didn't. It wasn't a fun movie.
I mean, what did you wanted it to be fun? It's about Dracula.
Here's the thing. This is what I think happened in Hollywood. It was like, we got The Mummy with Brendan Fraser, and that is like a fun, not scary, but it's like a fun movie with like a scary element and all that stuff. Then we had Van Helsing, 2004, same thing. Serious, like, monsters or whatever, Universal monsters, but we have it's fun. It's a fun movie. This movie is like fucking really intense. Like, it's Lord of the Rings with Dracula, basically. There's no levity.
I consider it the Van Helsing of Dracula movies.
What is that? Van Helsing is the Dracula, or Van Helsing of Dracula movies.
Well, no, but this is the Van Helsing of Dracula movies. Like, it reminds me of Van Helsing with Hugh Jackman.
Really? There's no comedic levity in this movie at all. Like, what reminded you of the Hugh Jackman of Van Helsing?
Well, just like a serious concept where like he's a monster hunter, also in Transylvania, I think, hunting Dracula, and like, yeah, there was some comedy relief in it, but it was mostly just like cheesy acting, and like this was a very like watered down Dracula version because one of the reasons I like this one is because 99% of the Dracula movies you see, they're all kind of the same, like. Dracula's super scary. He's got the fangs. He's usually alone in a castle where he's drinking people's blood and shit. They're usually horror films.
Yeah.
Whereas this one's trying to be more, I mean, I guess, historically accurate as it could be because...
It's trying to be the 300. Just say
it. Because Vlad the Impaler, like, that part was actually true. Like, he put heads on spikes to try and scare enemies, and he was, like, a great general and all that.
Yeah, I love that scene where they walk up to the castle and they're like, he wanted you to know he was here. And they, like, pan up, and it's, like hundreds of dead bodies on spikes. And I'm like, how did that happen? Who did that? Did he do that by himself? Did he do it all day?
Well, he's super fast.
Let's see it then.
You saw it the whole film. He's super fast.
Okay, I'd like to see him, like, doing that whole, art exhibit of bodies.
So, there's two things that... Well, first of all, I don't know how this movie is PG-13.
Really?
I mean, there's a good amount of blood.
There was a lot of quick cuts, so like, I don't think that there was ever enough for them to... It was just too fast.
I think the movie would have done better if they just bumped it up a smidgen to R and just made him, like, really fucking up the Turks. The two scenes that really bothered me, one was on the second day where it was almost sunlight on the third, and he realized he could do those things with the bats where he was, like, killing 1,000 people at a time. Like, and I was like, why don't you just keep doing that? Like, you just keep... And then the second part of that one was like, he's super fast. Why didn't he go and meet them in the night still and fuck them all up?
Well, like, there's no rules. Like, he doesn't know what his powers are. He doesn't know anything. And that's what I didn't like about it. Like, he doesn't even really know what's going on. It's not like he read a book or something. It was just like, hey, like, there's a vampire that lives in a cave. If I get bit by him, I'll have all these superpowers. Like, how does he even know this?
You know what's funny is when he was in, like, the basement with the priest and the priest was explaining the story, he was like, yeah, this guy summoned a demon, made a wish, the demon tricked him and, like, banished him to eternity in a dark cave. And, like, he knows the story, right? And I expected him, like, he didn't ask any questions, like you said. Like, the vampire was like, yeah, like, you'll get all this power and stuff. And I was expecting him to drink the blood and be like, sucker. Like, now he's stuck in the cave.
Right. Like, why does Dracula, or whoever that, the Lannister, that guy.
That old British guy.
Yeah, why is he's just in there, like, yeah, that was kind of ridiculous. But I want to know, like, did the devil just, like, come to him and was just like, all right, so here's the deal. If you want to get out of here, you're going to have to trick some guy to drink the blood, and then he's going to have to go away, but he's got 3 days. Now, in those 3 days, if he doesn't drink blood, then you have to stay here. Like, who is making these fucking rules?
You think the demon gave him, like, after he tricked him, he's like, all right, here's a pamphlet. It's got everything you need to know.
That's what I'm saying. Like, this takes place in, what, like 1300 or something like that, or even before that. And it's like, I don't know. I just think it's kind of like, who came up with these specific rules? Like, if you drink the blood, you then have to leave the cave, and then within 3 days, if you don't drink blood, then you get to keep the powers. But if you drink blood, which you're going to want to drink blood, and if you do, then I get to leave the cave, and it's just like, there's a lot of weird rules here, and I want to know who and why.
That, and the fact that, well, yeah, first of all, when he went to the cave in the beginning, and the camera kind of panned out, it looked like it would take days on horseback to get there. It was like 100 miles.
Yeah.
And they got there like by sunset.
Yep.
And then he's lived there his whole life, right? And he mentioned how there was rumors of like the ghost on, it was like Beartooth Mountain or whatever they called it.
Yeah.
So like they knew of it, but you're telling me like no one's ever been there.
Right.
Like Vlad in like his 30 years of ruling was never like, I'm going to go over there and check it out.
Also, how did that guy survive? Like, were they ever like, hey, whatever happened to, like, Jerry? It's like, oh, yeah, he went out to the woods. Like, wonder what happened to him. Like, but, like, seriously, he's feeding on something, right? The vampire? Like...
Yeah, I mean, I'm assuming he's eating something. But back to my two things that I didn't like about the movie. One was his powers at the end. And two was, how was he not able to catch his wife when she was falling?
Yeah, I know. Yeah.
Right?
Yeah, it's ridiculous.
unless he had such little of his powers left that he just like he just couldn't get it.
Yeah. Okay. Well, here's the thing. Have you seen Midsummer?
No.
Okay.
I don't want to watch that.
There's a scene where like a body jumps off a rock, basically, and the way that it lands, you're like, that's what it would look like.
Oh yeah.
This lady,
she landed completely fine.
She looked better than when she did.
She felt like her body would have just exploded into a billion pieces. There was no blood on her face, and she was just like, bite me.
Yeah, I mean, I think at that point she was like, it was like a temptress by the Tywin Lannister guy, but yeah, she should be like, you remember that episode of South Park when they throw the pig off the roof to pretend it's Butters? Like, it should be that. Just guts everywhere. But yeah, I feel bad for that kid. Like, he has to see his mom get, like, splattered, and then, like, an hour later, his dad gets, like, taken away and eaten by or you think he gets eaten by vampires or whatever. Mm-hmm. So, yeah. I mean, it's a short movie, too, man. It's an hour and 30 minutes to give the whole origin of Dracula. And they really try to make you care a lot about this whole Turkish army thing. I don't know. It's so outlandish to think that, like, this guy barely knows what he's getting himself into, yet he basically turns into, like, Neo from Matrix Reloaded, and he fights, like, 200 people. No, like, 200, like, 10,000 people, dude. That scene, come on, Justin. Everybody
It's not perfect by any means.
Dude, come on.
I think it would have been better if they slapped 20 minutes on it, make it an hour 50, and let's add 10 minutes of that to some backstory of Vlad, and add another 10 minutes of like the demon's back history, just so there's a little bit more there besides him going there and being like, yeah, whatever, dude, I'll drink your blood.
Okay, add the demon's backstory, and then also the reason that they're going to find the demon. Not in the beginning where they're just like, hey, like, there's a Turkish guy's helmet here. Like, what the heck? They're going to find this guy. They're like, there's been something that has been killing people in the woods or whatever for the past, like, 5 years. We're fucking putting an end to it today. And then they find that guy, you know? It's like they found him by accident, right?
Yeah.
So...
yeah, they just found the helmet there.
Yeah, that's so dumb. Dude, but the thing is, like, the ending was... I could not have rolled my eyes any harder. It was like, let the games begin. And also, shouldn't it be like round 2 or something like that? Because like the games have already, you said that earlier, like let the games begin. Like you said that in the beginning.
Well, what is the demon now? Because he's not Dracula. No. So he's the vampire who created Dracula. But is he also a vampire now? Even though he didn't give up his power. He gave up like some of it to break the curse, I suppose, to leave the cave.
It didn't make any sense, man. It was like. So basically, Dracula he drank his wife's blood or whatever within the 3 days. So then Charles Dance, I think is his name, the demon guy, he was able to leave the cave, opens up all of these vampires that he unleashes on the world. Dracula kills all of them. And then 600 years later or whatever, he's randomly in some town and finds a reincarnation of his wife, and then that guy's also like, haha, round 2, or like, the games begin now. It's like, where have you guys been? Where have they been for the past fucking 1,000 years?
Doing stuff, I don't know.
Not doing stuff. No, make it take place like 50 years later then or whatever, and don't have the whole reincarnation because that's bullshit. Just have him literally be like, you're hunting me or something like that. Like they see each other or something like that. It was like modern times now. You know, and then you've got him looking like he's going to a Marilyn Manson concert and, like, you know, walking up to her at a farmer's market. Like, I like your like reading a poem to her. I was like, what is happening? You know, and then, of course, at that exact moment, we get Charles Dance looking like Michael Caine at the end of Batman. You know, just like, I have my one wine. And, like, they make eye contact. It's just like, this is ridiculous, man. I was mad about the ending.
Yeah, I mean, listen, it got a 6.2. This movie wasn't meant to wow you. It was just supposed to show... like an action movie of Dracula.
Okay. I'm curious then, because it did do pretty well, you know? Like, it was a $70 million budget, and it made $217.
That's pretty good.
That's pretty good.
All right, so stop your bitching.
I forgot. If it makes money, it's automatically good. But here's the thing that I don't understand. This was a first-time director. First and last-time director.
Oh.
So this guy, Gary Shore... he had done some shorts or whatever, but this was his first and only feature film.
So he basically was like, I have made the Mona Lisa. Anything else would be offensive to Dracula Untold.
Exactly. So, but here's the thing. I'm just curious. If this movie does pretty well, why is this guy... there was no sequel. There was no, hey, Gary, your movie made money, so let's have you make another movie. What the hell happened to him?
Yeah, I mean, if it made $130 million profit, you think they could easily make a second one
Yeah.
of him like kind of throughout the ages up until the ending of the first one, like learning how to use his powers. He meets up with the British dude, they train together, blah blah blah. I mean, people like it enough. It's very profitable.
I mean, it's we're going on 10 years here though now. I don't think they're making any more.
What was that one movie where there was a 10-year gap and they made a sequel?
Wow, there's plenty of times where that happens, but like, does anybody care about this movie?
I'd watch it.
I know you would. I mean, Eric put this on the podcast, and I was like, "Oh, great," and he's not even here for it. So it's like, I don't think I'd ever watch this one, just because, like, I don't know. I just don't. I don't know. I didn't think it was that interesting. I don't know.
I did like how obviously the demon was tricking Vlad, and it's funny because like he went to the demon to basically take on this curse to save his country and his family,
Yeah.
and all the curse did at the end was get everyone killed anyway.
Yeah, exactly.
Like he was so. I mean, I guess the son lived probably, right?
Yeah.
He went off with the priest.
Yeah, but then 600 years later, where the movie ends, his son's long dead. So what happened then? Did he not want to make his kid a vampire and be like, "You're gonna live with me forever"?
Probably not, because then it would be like that weird thing with Interview with a Vampire where she's just like 8 forever.
No. Do it when he's like 30.
Come back, it's like, hey son, you ready?
Oh, like, aren't they together at the end of the movie? Or he thinks he's dead, but then he gets a drop of blood or whatever in his mouth, and then Dracula comes back.
Yeah, Dracula comes back.
Yeah, so then Dracula and his son are hanging out, and then his son's like, "Hey, Dad, I'm like 30, and like I look pretty good." And it's like, "Do you want to like look this good forever?" And he's like, "I mean, kind of now." And it's like, "All right, come here, let me bite your neck, and you'll be my." But then the movie jumps ahead 600 years, and you have a problem with Game of Thrones doing this, but that's like 4 years. This is like 600 years. So imagine, how did his son die?
I mean, I'm assuming like the old age of 40 back then.
Yeah, yeah.
It was cool how when he turned all those people from Transylvania into like his followers and vampires, they seemed like uncontrollable savages. Like they weren't even talking; they were just like hissing and fucking everybody up.
All right.
And it was cool how Vlad still had, maybe because he was the one who turned them, I guess, the power to like clear the skies.
Yeah. Yeah, because that was kind of weird too. Because he clears the sky, and then like the sun comes out, and like he's fine for some reason. Like all the stuff that you're told kills vampires in this movie is like doesn't really matter. I don't know. The sun didn't do anything, but he was able to kill all the other. I mean, to him at least, the sun killed all the other vampires. But I was like, all right, yeah. So a little weird. So he survives, even though he gets melted by the sun, which The other thing I don't really like about vampires is where it says like, hey, if you get a stake to the heart. You get a wood stake to the heart. That's everybody. That's not just vampires. No, but like they're always like, well, you got to stab him in the heart with a stake. I'm like, if I fucking stab anybody in the heart with a stake, they're gonna die. So
how do you think that myth was found? Like, do you think like vampires were just hanging out and they were like, let's just stab everything we can find into our hearts?
Right.
And eventually.
That's what
See what happens.
That's what I'm saying. Like, same thing with garlic. Was it one day it was just like, oh, make sure you get extra garlic on my pizza, and like, okay, cool, and then he eats. He's like, fuck, and he like, I mean, how did they find out garlic was bad? So yeah, so that was my only thing. Like, that was my favorite part of the whole movie, though, was when Dominic Cooper was about to stab him in the heart, and he's like, I'm going to kill you, Vlad. Then he's just like, I'm not Vlad, I'm Dracula. And he's like, that was sick. And he turns to the bats and like swings around him. I like that.
Yeah.
Oh, you did that wasn't cool?
Yeah, I mean, it was cool. It was cool.
I'm Dracula.
Yeah.
I'm not this Vlad anymore. I like that. What has this guy been in? I've never seen this guy before.
Luke Evans?
What has he been in?
He's been in a ton of shit. I mean, I was looking at his IMDb today after watching the movie, and I mean, he's a big actor for sure. He's been in Fast and the Furious. He's been in Beauty and the Beast. He was Gaston. But you'd think for the movies he's been in, you'd think he'd be much bigger.
Yeah, I'm looking at his IMDb now. Yeah, the only thing I've ever seen him in is The Hobbit, and I don't remember who he was.
He was oh shit, I don't remember who he was in The Hobbit. I mean, he's been like, he's got a good he's definitely doing well, but it's just like kind of like meh things.
Oh, he was in the new Pinocchio. Yeah, no, it's weird. I haven't seen any of the movies he's been. I haven't seen the Fast and the Furious. I saw The Hobbit. That was it. That's literally the only thing I've seen him in. So yeah, he didn't. didn't recognize him. I did recognize Dominic Cooper. I didn't recognize the lead female though either.
No.
So this movie, yeah, kind of didn't really have a lot of recognizable people. And if Game of Thrones didn't come out, I definitely wouldn't recognize Charles Dance. Oh, this is kind of cool though. I'm reading here though what they wanted to do. You know how they were going to make this into like I, Frankenstein, this, The Mummy. Like they were trying to make this into a whole like resurgence thing.
Mm-hmm.
Well, apparently that Charles Dance, the original vampire guy, he was going to kind of be like the Nick Fury in the Marvel movies, and he was going to kind of be in all of them. He was going to kind of like go in between, and he was going to be this like the evil puppet master of all of those movies, which that could have been kind of cool.
Okay.
I don't know. I'm trying to think of positives from this movie, Justin. It just felt like it was all in front of a green screen, too. Like, it didn't have a lot of, like, cool landscapes, you know? Like, I could tell a lot of it was a green screen.
No, actually, I was reading. This was actually filmed in Transylvania.
Wait, really? Like...
Nah, I just made that up.
Oh. I was like, I don't feel like that's true. I was in Northern Ireland.
Oh my
But yeah,
God.
Northern Ireland, I'm sure it's like Northern Ireland in a studio with a shit ton of green screen. It's like, oh, okay. But yeah, I don't know, man. I personally wouldn't really recommend this movie. What'd you say it got on IMDb?
6.2. That's not bad.
Is that good? That's a 62.
It's a mediocre.
Yeah, it's like a D minus.
Hey, it's not an F though.
That's it. They still passed. Yeah, I mean, I don't know. Like, where would you want to see this go? Like, they could have made a sequel to this. So, like, if you have an unlimited budget, Justin, you're the director. What's up? What are we doing here?
I mean, there's lots of avenues. You could do a prequel where you show him getting taken from the castle and him kind of like becoming Vlad the Impaler. And then you could do a sequel where it shows him throughout the next, 600 years just learning how to become Dracula. You could go a lot of ways with it.
What would the prequel be called? Like, Dracula, like, really untold.
Like, even more
Yeah,
untold.
like you thought that one was untold. This was like, Jesus. Like, we have no idea.
No, it could be like Dracula.
It's called Vlad the Impaler or whatever.
Okay, yeah, Vlad would be good. Yeah, no, that's actually a good title, just Vlad.
Yeah, but what does this title even mean? What does Dracula Untold mean? So is it like the story of Dracula you didn't know?
I'm guessing most people don't know the history behind him.
Okay. So this didn't really do a good job because this is basically like this is the moment where he becomes Dracula. It's not like his story really. It's more of just like the moment. It was almost like the Spider-Man 1. It's like the Tobey Maguire Spider-Man. You know, we don't know much about Peter Parker before Spider-Man, but we know exactly when he becomes Spider-Man. And this is what that was for Dracula.
Mm-hmm.
You know?
Also kind of surprised. I mean, I know, Transylvania is a small country, especially in comparison to the Turkish Empire, which was massive back then. But, like, he had no army. He had, like, literally 20 guys.
I mean, yeah.
Even the Turkish dude was like, "You have no army." I'm like, how are you defending yourself?
I mean, is this like a real story? Did this really happen?
Well, he had an army.
Yeah, but like, because the Ottoman Empire is real, but did they actually like invade Transylvania?
I don't know. I don't know about that part.
Yeah.
I know they invaded everything.
Huh. Oh yeah. So during most of the 16th and 17th century, was a vassal state of the Ottoman Empire. So they lost.
You're like, it says right here that he actually did become Dracula.
Oh, right. And he could turn into bats and actually murdered 20,000 people in one day. Huh. Wow, that's pretty crazy. No, but it is. So basically, like, I mean, if you follow history, like, obviously the vampire part's not real, but, like, he lost. So, like...
Well, yeah, you can't beat the Ottoman Empire.
Yeah, no, it's just like, yeah, this movie. I don't know, man. You know. There's worse movies. There are worse movies.
Yeah, it's not a... It's a mediocre action flick. If you like Dracula and you like action movies, you're probably going to like it.
Yeah. It's like, I don't want to see a good movie. I'm not going to watch Lord of the Rings. But, like, you know, I got an hour to watch something kind of like that. I don't know. I mean, like, have you seen I, Frankenstein?
Yes.
I feel like that's, like, the worst movie.
It was questionable.
Was it better than this? Which is better?
No. It was... I mean, it was okay, but no.
What does I, Frankenstein even mean? Is that like him writing a letter like, I, Frankenstein, would like you to see this movie? Oh, it's got Yvonne Strahovski in it, though? Ooh, I like her.
Wait, you haven't seen it?
No, I've never seen that. It got 5% Rotten Tomatoes. No, Justin, I haven't seen that one. It came out the same year. It came out the same year as this one, though. It's a horror action movie with Aaron Eckhart and Ivan Strahovski, who I love. But it's kind of like a superhero Dracula movie, too, a little bit. You know? That scene where he's just running and all of a sudden just turns into bats randomly. Like, he's like, holy, like, what the fuck? How'd that happen? Like, that kind of reminded me of Peter Parker, like, trying to jump, you know, in the beginning of the first Spider-Man movie.
Yeah, I mean, he wasn't, you know, this was the story before he became this horrible villain. Like, he had good intentions.
Yeah.
But, you know, he just, the demon knew eventually he couldn't resist.
Do you think if that happened to you, Justin, you can make it 3 days?
I mean, would I want to?
I mean, why don't you just lock yourself in a house for 3 days? Well, I guess because he's
too strong. He would just bust out of it.
Yeah, I know. But, well, I guess he had to fight the armies. Because, yeah, you think, like, dude, you get these super awesome powers, you can just make it 3 days. Otherwise, like, you're going to die. But, anyways, I don't know. It's fine.
All right, so 6.2. What are you giving it?
5.6.
Oh.
I'm sorry. It's you know, it is what it is. What about you, Justin?
I'm going to go 6.
I'm going 6.
Yeah, I'm going to go 6, yeah.
Wow, so you even give it less than the critics. Huh. Check it out. I don't know. Hey, there's better Dracula movies. Do you have a favorite vampire movie? How about that?
Oh, there's so many. I'm going to have to go with Quentin Tarantino.
From Dusk Till Dawn?
Yes.
Wow. Okay.
Yeah.
Yeah, I'm partial to Fright Night.
The one with Colin Farrell.
Oh, Jesus, get out of here. Get out of here. No, the 1985 Tom Holland Fright Night. The only Fright Night.
I mean, dude, from Dusk Till Dawn, you say, "Saw my heart."
Okay. I forgot about that movie. I haven't seen that movie in so long. I'll check it out. George Clooney, come on.
Danny Trejo, come on.
All right, well, I'm going to spin the old wheel then, Justin, and get us out of here. See what we got going on tomorrow. All right, and we got Psycho 2. Cool. I've never seen that one. You ever seen that?
Nope.
Oh boy, I've heard it's actually very good. I've heard it's a very good sequel, and it came out like 20 years or like 26 years or something after the original one, so it'll be interesting to see what they do. You've seen the original Psycho, right, from 1960?
No.
All right. You've seen Dracula fucking Untold, but you haven't seen Psycho.
No, Dracula Untold is a classic.
You've got your priorities completely out of whack. Anyways, all right. Well, everybody, thank you very much for listening to our episode on Dracula Untold. If you haven't had a chance yet, we've released quite a few episodes in the past few days, and we have a few more to go before Halloween. So we will see you all tomorrow with Psycho 2.